Peace, peace, peace. What it is, it's your brother Tyvon Sueno, aka the Orthodox Moor. And I'm here doing a Speaker's Corner USA type situation right quick. And I'm about to review a video of my good brother Ahmed, aka the Somali Maverick, who is a Quranist over at Speaker's Corner. Me and him have been building for a very, 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 very long time. Anyway, I caught a video of him going up against a prominent Salafi on Speaker's Corner. Known his name is Shamsi, and this is on a video on a channel called Somali Speakers, run by my good brother Khalid. So man, please go check that channel out. I put his Twitter and his YouTube video, his YouTube page down below, and also this video from his page down below and whatnot. So please go check him out, subscribe. He's got a lot of fantastic content coming from Speaker's Corner. And shout out to all the Somali family out there on the Speaker's Corner and whatnot, giving some fantastic builds. Go check out their conversation. It's really, really interesting. But in this conversation, Brother Ahmed is going up against Shamsi, and they're going back and forth over the concept of Ahmed rejecting the Hadith and sticking to only the Quran alone. So there's some interesting arguments made, etc., whatnot. And I want to review it a little and talk about it when it's all said and done. So check this out right quick, fam.
We'll start again. We'll start again. Okay. Remember. Okay.
Ask question and answer it.
Wait. Okay. Remember the question. The question was very simple. The claim is that Sunnah goes with the Quran. They go hand in hand. That is the claim. Yeah. The substantiation of that claim goes upon the claimant, not myself. I am not the claimant. You understand what I'm saying to you? So with that being said, what we're not going to do is we're not going to play guesswork about, oh, this is what he's going to do. He's going to rely on this relation. He's going to rely on that relation. You cannot speak about this translation. You cannot speak about what I'm going to do in the future when I have not said so so far. The only thing we have at hand here is that you've made a claim and you need to prove that claim. That's it. That's the only question here. I want my question. 10 seconds. Remember this. He said he doesn't answer. I don't answer his questions. I want my question answered. 5 seconds. Done.
There's no claim. There's no question here as well. I make a claim. No, you're making a claim. No, you're making a claim too. The claim you're making that we should not follow Sunnah and we should not follow the Messenger of Allah.
I'm not making that claim.
You're making the claim. No, should we follow the Messenger of Allah?
I'm not making that claim.
Should we follow? No, watch. Should we follow the Messenger of Allah? Should we follow the Messenger of Allah?
He's asking you.
Because now he's making a claim we only follow Allah, which is the Quran. Because if he's saying this, the Messenger of Allah also the Quran, that's a disbelief. Because the speech of the Messenger of Allah is not in the Quran. The only speech in the Quran is the speech of Allah. So are you making the claim we should not follow the Messenger of Allah?
He's got 28 minutes.
Okay, I'm giving you my time. Go on, ask my question.
Your minute is right now. Go. See, what I do is, as far as I'm concerned, words have definitions. You cannot apply whatever you want to words. The definition of a messenger is one who delivers a message. That is the definition of a messenger. The message the messenger has delivered is called the Quran. That is that. So this notion that you need to follow the individual that had the title the messenger is a claim itself, which needs to be substantiated by those that make that claim, not myself. As far as the Quran is concerned, the only duty, word for word statement from the Quran, the only duty upon the messenger is not but a clear notification of the message. That's a direct quote from the Quran. Over to you.
First of all, that is a translation again. That is not the Quran. Quran was written in Arabic. Okay, so he's making the claim that the messenger job only to convey the message as a postman, to give you the letter. He's saying we should not follow the messenger of Allah. He's making the claim as well, but he's playing around. So now my question to you clearly, are you making the claim we have to only follow the Quran? Are you making that claim, yes or no?
That's what the Quran says.
Okay, show me what the Quran says only for the Quran. Yes.
You can pause it.
Yeah, perfect. I'll give you time. Because you're making a claim now. Okay. Only for the Quran. Allah said.
The only duty of the messenger is but the clear notification of the message. That's it.
Where does it say
What do you
that?
want me
No,
to
no. I said in
You
my
done?
question.
Are you done?
My brother has not answered my question. I didn't ask him. My question was precise. Where does it say in the Quran only follow, not the message, because the message consists of the Quran and the Sunnah. That is the
Proof.
Wait. And my question now to you, before I prove the claim, where does it say in the Quran only follow the Quran? That's my question.
Okay. Wait, it does not need to say only. The Quran. No. It does not.
Now, people, please, brothers.
It does not need to say only, because the term only assumes that there is more than the Quran. So that assumption needs to be substantiated by yourself for assuming that it needs to dictate only. The word that we have here is message. If we're going to assume that the message is more than the Quran, you have to provide evidence for that. You cannot just insist it. What he's trying to do now is he's trying to insist it. And you heard him say himself right now. He said the message includes the Sunnah. I want that claim substantiated.
That's my time now.
He's running around.
Are you done?
Go ahead. No. Brother, clearly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the Quran. No translation, because when he's going to bring translation, I'm going to ask him, why not accept your translation, no translation Muhsin Khan? Okay? Why not there in the same Sahaba? Allah sent the Quran. Allah has given the commandments. Okay? ما كان لمؤمن ولا لمؤمنة إذا قضى الله ورسوله أمرا. It's not befitting for a believer. And today we're going to see who is a true believer and who is a disbeliever in Allah and His Messenger. Allah said, the true believer is not befitting for the true believer. If Allah decreed something and the messenger decreed something, but if Allah decreed something, the messenger is not in need of to legislate nothing. Because if Allah decreed something, it's upon the messenger to convey it, not to decree. So Allah said, if Allah decrees something and the messenger decrees something, they go look for another opinion. So here Allah mentioned two things. So when Allah decrees something, where is it? The Quran. When the messenger decrees something, if he says in the Quran, that's disbelief. That's my proof. Okay.
I have found two people who apply the same tactics when it comes to the Quran. I have found two people that apply the same tactics when it comes to the Quran. The right-wing people and the Salafis. They both apply the same tactics when it comes to the Quran. Namely, what they do is they isolate a verse and they detach it from its context and they attach whatever narrative they wish to that isolated verse. Now, the verse that he brought up, I think, is in 464, if I remember correctly.
So Ahzab.
Or is it Ahzab? Okay, fine. We can look at the context of that.
No, you better claim and guess me.
He would. No, I thought you went for the usual 464.
Just for the record, I do accept translation.
I'm not done. I thought he went for the usual 464, but at the end of the day, once he gets to his turn, I'm sure he will give us the
10 seconds.
the chapter and verse that he's referring to, and then we can look at the context. So without context, we cannot know what that verse is referring to.
Brothers, for my brothers and sisters who are watching, clearly this man, he has.
Don't make it personal.
I'm speaking, I'm not telling now. You can say whatever I like. I'm saying you have no proofs of you. So again, remember my statement. He will rely on a translation of someone. So he's going to trust someone, but he will not trust the messenger of Allah explaining the Quran or the companions. Okay, remember this, bearing this in mind. Now, Surah Ahzab, Allah mentioned only Surah Ahzab. He said, all the wife of the Prophet recite what? The ayat and the hikmah. The verses, the hikmah. What is the hikmah? Wisdom. But what is wisdom? Because if the Quran is a wisdom too. But what is the wisdom here? As the Muslim scholars mentioned, the Sahaba, Ibn Abbas, which is the messenger of Allah's companion, he said, is a sunnah. Likewise, Qatada. No, if he said other than that, therefore, our term is a translation. So I will go for a translation and leave off Ibn Abbas, who Prophet Muhammad praised and Allah praised in the Quran.
Okay, it's my turn. First and foremost, he keeps on saying that I'm translation this. I don't remember actually quoting a single translation, so I don't even know why he's saying that. Secondly, Arabic is not a myth. There is dictionaries. You can research this. I can look at every single root word that is used in the Quran and I can find out what it means. It's not that difficult. And thirdly, And thirdly, what's it called again? Arabic is not limited to who he refers to as Ibn Abbas. Arabic is something spoken by a lot of people at that time. That's what I'm saying to you. So every single word, I can look it up and I can find out its definition. So I don't know why he keeps using the translation. And as for pause it, man. And as for
No, I should not pause it.
why you not talking?
No,
And as for what's the other claim that he made? What's the other claim that he made? Over to you. I can't even remember. Go ahead.
I'm going to
Because he
leave
was
this.
waffling.
I'm not going
I
to
don't
stay
know what he
here.
was saying.
I'm not clearly arguing that. Akhwa. These
Yeah, definitely go check out my brother's channel and go watch his other videos and whatnot. But yeah, there's something I definitely want to address on that. And the only reason I'm addressing this is because there's not like another part to this video, because I know I've been with Brother Ahmed a bunch of times, and we've gone back and forth in the Quran so many times. I know as a fellow Quranist, I understand how he attacks things, and we're in the arguments he makes and all that kind of stuff and whatnot. And like the only reason I'm addressing this video is because it looks like he walked away from a proof that Shamsi asked him to make. And so I know for a fact that Ahmed has a verse that he readily uses in this situation. However, he is an extremely technical debater. In fact, if you go back and watch that full video, he gets real particular over how much time is in the debate. Like not 1 minute and 1 second, not 1 minute 3 seconds. Like he wants exactly 60 seconds. Nobody going over, etc. Whatnot. I mean, he's a really technical cat. And so when Shamsi was asking him for proof of the Quran alone concept, the thing about Ahmed is, so Ahmed heard Shamsi make a claim before he asked Ahmed for proof. And so Ahmed's the kind of brother to where, like, when he hears someone make a claim, he's like, I'm not addressing nothing that you're asking me until you show me proof of your claim. He's that kind of dude, right? And so, again, this is the only reason why I'm addressing this, is because I know for a fact that he would have addressed Shamsi's claim had the video gone on. But, like, I'm assuming that Brother Khalid's camera died out or something like that, right? Because you can see where it cuts off in the middle of the conversation or whatnot. So I'm giving you what I'm only assuming Ahmed would have told Shamsi, given the multitude of conversations we've had on this concept. So with that, let me just real quick show this one to the fam. So this is the verse that I know that Ahmed would have pulled out at the ready. Surah 17, ayat 46. And we have placed over their hearts coverings, lest they understand it, and in their ears deafness. And when you mention your Lord alone in the Quran, they turn back in aversion. Now that the English version says alone in the Quran. In the Arabic, it literally says in the Quran alone. So just to clarify that, I'm going to share my screen one more again. And I'm going to get into the particulars of this matter. So again, Shamsi asked for proof from the for a verse about the Quran alone, and again, I'm reading the same verse, and you can double check all the work I'm about to give you right now from at QuranCorpus.com, etc., whatnot, and you can you can show me where I'm wrong in anything I'm saying. Okay. But again, I've heard my brother Ahmed spit this verse. And if you go check out the Somali speaker's recent video, when you'll hear my good brother Bernie Bay on there. My good brother Bernie Bay schooled me to this verse a long time ago. He was the first person to ever show me this verse. But I know for a fact I've heard Ahmed talk about it too. So in Surah 17, ayat 46, it stipulates again, and we have placed over their hearts coverings, lest they understand it, and in their ears deafness. And when you mention your Lord alone in the Quran, they turn back in aversion. Now, when you go look at this in the Arabic and the word for word, the 14th word is il-Qurani, the Quran. The 15th word is wahdahu, alone. the Quran alone. So I know for a fact my G would have hit him with this verse. However, like I said, he's real super technical, and he will not address a question until you prove your claim. And so you will hear him addressing that consistently in the video and whatnot. He's real technical and whatnot. So he doesn't even care if somebody thinks that he's trying to run from an argument. He's like, no, I'm not trying to run from nothing. I got the answer. I'm just trying to make sure you substantiate what you're saying first. I'm not going to substantiate what I'm saying unless you substantiate what you're saying. You're coming to me with something, and then so break down what you're coming to me with, and then I will substantiate what I'm coming to you with. He's that kind of dude. He's that kind of dude. And so the concept that they were talking about was this concept of Quran and Sunnah. Quran and Sunnah. This is a phrase that's never found in the Quran anywhere. The only time you find the Sunnah in the Quran is something that's a Sunnah that's linked to Allah, a Sunnah of Allah. And this is something that I know I've heard Ahmed talk about as well. So there's a plethora of verses you could pick from this. I don't know which one he would have thrown at him, but I know he would have thrown at least one of them, right? And so real quick, you can check out just for notes and whatnot. Surah 17, ayat 77, Surah 33, ayat 38, Surah 33, ayat 62, Surah 35, ayat 43, Surah 48, ayat 23. And it's going to break down these concepts here. That is our established way for those we had sent before you of our messengers, and you will not find in our way any alteration. Again, this is the Sunnat, the Sunnati, the Sunnah, right? Surah 33, ayat 38. Again, Sunnata. You're going to find Sunnah there, right? And this is, again, Sunnah of Allah concept, right? There is not to be upon the Prophet any discomfort concerning that which Allah has imposed upon him. This is the established way of Allah, the Sunnah of Allah, with those prophets who have passed on before, and ever is the command of Allah a destiny decreed. So this is literally the Sunnah of Allah. And so this is one of the verses that I I know Ahmed would have brought one of these out, because if you're going to make the claim on the Sunnah being the Hadith, you have to show it to him in the Quran, because again, as a Quranist, he needs to see that as the proof. And so going further, there's another verse, Surah 33, ayat 62, stipulates a very similar concept. Again, it's the Sunnah of Allah. This is the established way of Allah with those who passed on before, and you will not find in the way of Allah any change. So again, this is the Sunnah of Allah. Again, Surah 35, ayat 43. Due to arrogance in the land and plotting of evil, but the plot of evil does not encompass except its own people. Then do they await except the way of the former peoples, but you will never find in the way of Allah any change, in the Sunnah of Allah any change, and you will never find in the way of Allah any alteration, or you will never find in the Sunnah. You'll never find in the Sunnah of Allah any alteration. Again, Surah 48, ayat 23. This is the established way of Allah. This is the Sunnah of Allah, which has occurred before, and never will you find in the way of Allah or the Sunnah of Allah any change. So it's clear about how it's written. It's real clear about how it's written. The Sunnah of Allah was established among the previous messengers and previous people. The Sunnah of Allah has no change within it, and has no alteration in it that can be found. And these are questions that I'm throwing in there, but I'm just speculating. These would be like some return fire questions that Ahmed would ask, because he's a real logical person, right? So he may or may not have asked these questions, but I know in a return fire round he would come with something like this, right? If the Sunnah was established among the previous messengers, where are their hadiths? Where are the hadiths of the previous messengers? And if the Sunnah has no change and no alteration, the messenger should have no hadiths either, because you can't find any hadiths of the previous messengers. They don't have a book and then a whole set of hadiths. So if the Sunnah of Allah has no change and no alteration, the messenger should not also have any hadith going on with his book. That would be something different than what you find. There is no hadith of Moses that goes along with the Torah. There is no hadith of Isa or Jesus that goes along with the Injil. There's no hadith of David that goes along with the Zabur, the Psalms. And there's no claim of such in the Quran. But moving forward, what I thought was interesting is that Shamsi made another claim that he didn't particularly substantiate, but he made a claim, and he was saying that the term for the Sunnah or the Hadith or whatever was synonymous with the concept of the wisdom. So they like to say this term Quran and Sunnah, and this term Quran and Sunnah is never found in the Quran ever, not once, not one single solitary time. What you find in there is a saying called the book and the wisdom. The book and the wisdom. And so you can find this phrase used in these verses here. Surah 2, ayah 129, Surah 2, ayah 151, Surah 2, ayah 231, Surah 3, ayah 48, Surah 3, ayah 81, Surah 3, ayah 164, Surah 4, ayah 54, Surah 4, ayah 113, and Surah 62, ayah 2. And so I'm just going to pull out a couple of these real quick and just point out a couple of things, right? And so this is Surah 2 ayah 129. It says, Our Lord, and send among them a messenger from themselves who will recite to them your verses and teach them the book and wisdom and purify them indeed. You are the exalted in might, the wise. Again, this is the book and the wisdom. This is Surah 2 ayah 31. And it says the book and the wisdom here as well. And just listen to this, right? And when you divorce women and they have nearly fulfilled their term, either retain them according to acceptable terms or release them according to acceptable terms, and do not keep them intending harm, to transgress against them. And whoever does that has certainly wronged himself. And do not take care the verses of Allah in jest. Or do not take the verses of Allah in jest. And remember the favor of Allah upon you and what has been revealed to you of the book and wisdom by which He instructs you. By which He instructs you. And fear Allah and know that Allah is knowing of all things. So here, this is breaking down that Allah breaks down the wisdom, that He instructs in the book and instructs in the wisdom. And this is not specifically said to the Prophet just for himself. This is something that is told to the people. This is for everybody. Going forward, Surah 3 ayah 48. And He will teach him, talking about Jesus, writing, i.e. the book, al-Kitab, and the wisdom, and the Torah, and the gospel. And so, again, Isa was taught by Allah these things. So Allah instructs the individual, and Allah here is instructing Isa or Jesus in the book and the wisdom. Surah 4 ayah 54, it says, or do they envy people for what Allah has given them of His bounty? But we had already given the family of Abraham the scripture and wisdom and conferred upon them a great kingdom. So again, this goes along with the previous concept I'm talking about, right? The word hadith is never used to describe the wisdom associated with the book. The word hadith is in the Quran, but it's never, ever, not once associated with the word sunnah, or is it associated with the word wisdom in reference to the book or the Quran? Not once. Not once. In fact, hadith isn't used at all in reference to what any of the hadithist Muslims would use it for. There's nowhere can you find a hadith of Muhammad in the Quran. It's not there. But it says, He, Allah, instructs and teaches us about the book and wisdom, which He has revealed. You see that He teaches the individual, and He also teaches the prophets that He sends down. But again, if I was like, if I know my brother Ahmed, he always has some return fire question on some logical stuff, particularly if he can walk out the conversation in a real slow pace to where he's actually getting his questions answered as he's answering questions. So like, Some logical questions he would ask would be like, the family of Abraham was given the book and wisdom. Where is their hadith of wisdom? Where's the book of hadith for the family of Abraham? If hadith and wisdom are synonymous. Isa or Jesus was also given a book and wisdom by Allah. Where is the hadith of his wisdom? Where is the hadith of Isa or Jesus? And these are definitely verses I know my brother would have brought out, because I've heard him cite these verses all day. And you're going to hear basically almost every Quran cite these verses, right? Surah 39, ayah 23. Allah has sent down the best statement, but in Arabic it literally says the best hadith, hadithi, a consistent book wherein is reiteration. The skins shiver therefrom of those who fear their Lord. Then their skins and their hearts relax at the remembrance of Allah. That is the guidance of Allah by which He guides whom He wills. And one whom Allah leaves astray, for him there is no guide. But it clearly specifies that Allah has sent down the best hadith, a consistent book wherein is reiteration. Surah 7, ayah 185. Another verse that speaks about the hadith. It says, do they not look into the realm of the heavens and the earth and everything that Allah has created, and think that perhaps their appointed time has come near? So in what statement, in what hadith hereafter will they believe? It asks the challenging question, what statement after this will they believe? What hadith after this will they believe? And in Surah 39, ayah 23, there's a lot of reiteration with this question. It asks this question 3 times in the Quran. Surah 45, ayah 6 asks this question, and I think breaks it down the clearest of the clear. These are the verses of Allah which we recite to you in truth. Then in what statement after Allah and His verses will they believe? And what hadith after Allah and His verses will they believe? To me, that sums it up right there. 1, Allah has sent down the best hadith, a book that is consistent with much reiteration therein. And He stipulates in Surah 45, ayah 6, that in what hadith after Allah and His verses will they believe? Last but not least, it stipulates in Surah 77, ayah 50, then in what statement after, now it doesn't say the Quran in Arabic, so this is why I put it out here in the word by word, will they believe? It says, then in what statement after will they believe? And this is one that I think puts the cherry right on top, right? So this is another verse talking about hadith. And look at how it's used, because we were just talking about the sunnah of the law, or the path of Allah, or the way of Allah, etc. Now just check this out right quick. And of the people is he who buys the amusement of speech, or idle tales, or idle hadith, to mislead others from the way of Allah without knowledge, and who takes it in as ridicule. Those will have a humiliating punishment. This verse is stipulating that there's people who use idle hadith, idle tales, amusement of speech to mislead people from the way of Allah. And they do so in ridicule. In ridicule. So typically the Quran's position is, if the Quran is the best hadith, why should I take any other? Why should I take any other? Again, the clear reiteration of the Quran itself is the Quran is the best statement, the best hadith, and that these verses of Allah are His hadith. And again, it asked the defined question 3 times, and what hadith after this will they believe? And it gives the warning and tells the people that there's going to be idle tales or hadith that will mislead the people. That will mislead the people. So I'm not trying to make this too long. I run up on a half hour. I appreciate y'all watching. Let me see if there's anybody who has anything to say, and I'll put that up on the screen while I'm looking. I don't see any comments. So again, family, Shamsi asked for direct proof of the Quran for like a Quran alone verse, and there it is for you. I know Ahmed would have dropped it on him had once he got his questions answered. It wasn't on camera, whatnot. I'm assuming that. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But again, I've sparred with the brother many times and heard him drop this verse and many other verses in support of what he's talking about. But with that, I appreciate y'all for your time. Peace and love, fam.